Hi everyone, my name is Christian. I'm our head of solutions for addressability at LiveRamp, and I'm here to talk to you today about RampID, LiveRamp's people-based pseudonymous identifier for use in the programmatic ecosystem and beyond, as we'll see in this presentation. Now, before we jump into the RampID itself, I want to look a little bit at the customer journey of a generic brand client. And what we have here is very much kind of the journey from being a prospect of a specific brand, the journey they take to perhaps a first purchase, and then on to ultimately becoming hopefully a loyal customer. And the reason I bring this up is because LiveRamp is first and foremost a data connectivity platform. And what we've been doing for a long time is try to help our clients get a better understanding of who their customers are, how their customers are interacting with their brand, and understand the most holistic view possible of their customer. Now, in this customer journey, a single brand is very seldom going to have that holistic view on their own. To have all of the required data points to create this. So as a data connectivity platform, what we're trying to help clients do is very much bring together all of the different data sources required in order to get this view, the best possible view of a customer and the journey they take, and also be able to, of course, target those customers wherever they are. So with that background out of the way, let's look at the RampID itself. Now, fundamentally, the RampID is about enabling first-party data connections. That can be directly advertiser to publisher, it can be publisher to publisher, it can be advertiser to advertiser, or it can actually even be multiple advertisers to a single publisher or vice versa. But most importantly, it is an ID that, regardless of which pipes you want to use it through, can tie first-party data together from two different sides. Now, that could be the programmatic ecosystem, so your traditional kind of buying through a DSP and data going through SSPs as well. Or it can be kind of newer or slightly different marketing channels, such as connected TV or mobile, or even direct buys just directly between two brands. So RampID is very much designed to be channel and platform agnostic. As long as a channel has some kind of authentication that we can tie data back to an actual individual, we can apply the RampID. Now, in terms of what this gives to publishers, well, it means that any publisher who uses RampID, well, first of all, of course, they get access to the demand from the advertisers working with RampID. Now, as we said in the beginning, ultimately, those advertisers are trying to find their customers. They're trying to run usually high value campaigns on existing customers, for example. So it's really important that that targeting is accurate and, of course, people-based. Now, some of the other some of the benefits outlined here as well is that, of course, the RampID, since you have the same RampID on both the demand side and the supply side, or rather the same ID on both sides, you can achieve much higher accuracy. You know that you're getting in front of the person you want to be targeting. You get higher efficiency because we're no longer translating between a bunch of different IDs. It's the same ID regardless of which pipes we're going through. You have a much more privacy safe identifier because a deterministic identifier gives the user a real opportunity to actually control their data, which just isn't possible in kind of a cookie-based or probabilistic IDs. And lastly, with the same ID across the board, the possibilities regarding measurement and how you can understand how did your campaign actually perform, for example, or analytics about who really are my customers, all of those things become a lot more powerful. Here, I also want to mention that any publisher using RampID will also get access to LiveRamp's UI, where they can track things like how many RampIDs have been created on their properties, as well as things around kind of the performance of RampID, such as CPM uplift, such as performance on various browsers or from various bidders, and that kind of thing. So all of that information is available via LiveRamp's UI for publishers. Now, looking at reach of the solution, it's really important to note that because LiveRamp is enabling first-party data connections between advertisers and publishers, or whichever parties, really, the only relevant reach is what is the overlap between the advertiser and the publisher. So the traditional sense of reach is very much changed when we talk about first-party data connections. That said, we have here a few stats to kind of outline how broadly has RampID been spread, so to speak, so far. Now, starting off on kind of the programmatic side, we have already over 45 DSPs and over 25 SSPs who are either live or committed to buying on and decisioning on the RampID, meaning that most of the larger ad tech providers out there are already using this ID actively. And what this is basically showing is, in terms of total bid requests going through, we already have over 33 billion daily requests today that can be bought and measured on RampID. In terms of on the publisher side, we already have over 400 publishers signed up, a lot of those in the kind of top 20 largest publishers per market. And we are truly a global solution. So we're live in North America, in Europe, as well as APAC. So hopefully that's been, it's given a bit of insight into what the vision of RampID is and how it works. And with that, thank you very much.